Why your investment manager can't beat the market consistently. I'm going to prove it to you right here. All right, we're going to have 4 money managers. You ready? 4 money managers, and we're going to assume these guys represent the market. We got one guy who gets 10%. We got one guy who gets 8%. We got one guy, and when I say guy, it could be a lady. Guy is just all inclusive. So, you're discriminating against women. No, not. Relax. We got one guy who gets 6% and one guy who gets 4%. All right. So what's our market return? All right. Again, these 4 people represent the market. What's the market return? Well, it's pretty simple. We got 10, 20, 28. So we take 28, we divide by 4, because we got 4 constituents in the market, 28, divide by 4. The market return is 7%. Let's get I guess we'll just use this one. So 7% is the market return. So the average return for the market is 7%. Because he got 3% higher, he got 1% higher, he got 1% less, and he got 3% less. Hope that makes sense. All right. Now notice though, that is before fees. All right. So the average return is 7%. So if you just invested in the market, you got 7% rate of return. But if you invested with one of these professional money managers, you had to pay a fee of some sort. So for simplicity, I just got off the horn and talked to some guys charging 2% a year fee. All right, so 2% a year fee, we got to go back by 2%. That means 8. That means 6. That means 2. That means 4. So now at net of fees, we only have one guy who beat the market. That's it. So net of fees, we got to calculate all these guys up. We say 6, 12, 20. 20 divided by 4 is a 5% average rate of return. Net average ROR gross. All right, so you see what's going on here. So net of fees, these guys still beat the market. This guy still beat it by 2. 3, excuse me. This guy still beat it by 1. This guy was still behind it by 3. This guy was still behind it by 2 as well. But gross of fees, and this is the market, these guys are significantly behind it. In fact, gross of fees, only one guy actually beat the market, whereas before 2 did. So net of fees, we had 1 winner and 3 losers, a 1-3 record. Gross of fees, we were 2-2. We had 2 winners and 2 losers. Now, it doesn't always have to be like that. Sometimes you could have 3 winners on rare occasion and 1 loser if the 1 loser is just getting beaten down. You know what I'm saying? He might have the internet fund, for instance, and you had value stocks or something. I don't know. Not very often. But generally speaking, in a large constituent, you can have half the people above the market, half the people below the market. Frankly, what you're going to have is you're going to have a lot of people kind of right around the market. And that's called closet indexing. And then you factor in fees. They're all going to be way below the market because their fees set them back behind the market. Anyway, so what's happening here is, hello, handsome, come here. Oh boy. Remember, when Pablo makes an appearance, you got to paw the like button. Look at this guy. Hello, you want to say hi to everybody? Hi, my name's Pablo. I live on the 2nd floor. Anyway, so this is why you can't consistently beat the market, because it's impossible. This guy right here, while he beat the market, he was 30% above the market before. Now, net of fees, he's only, freaking 10% above the market, if that makes sense. And the reason is simple. If you have an average rate of return of, well, in this case, 7%, for simple, I got to use different math. You get an average rate of return of 8% in the stock market, and you're paying 2% in fees, you're losing 8% of your average rate of return to fees. So you're only netting 6%, or 25% of your returns are being lost to fees. You want to get down? Okay. Hold on just a second. And if you're losing that kind of rate of return to fees, you're never going to beat the market on a consistent basis. Yeah, you'll hear stories about Peter Lynch, from Fidelity Magellan. He got out he retired at a high. You know what I'm saying? He was smart. He was like a Mario Rivera. He retired at the top of his game. Then you got people like Bill Miller, who had 15 consecutive years of beating the market. But he said it was luck. He said he got lucky. In fact, I remember I was at Legg Mason. The end of 2005 or 2006, I can't remember, is literally the last day of trading. And Bill Miller had like one position that put him over the S&P for the year, which kept his streak running. He was a 5-star rated money manager from Morningstar. All the money managers were like, oh my goodness, Bill Miller, he's the best. I want to have your baby. And then he got tanked because he had a bunch of stocks that during the GFC, the global financial crisis, they just got pummeled, like Countrywide and things of that nature, and the banks, and he got pummeled. And literally 18 months later, 18 months. So in 2006, he was the cat's meow. You know what I'm saying? Everyone have his baby. 18 months later, he couldn't get hitchhike a ride because he was, redhead stepchild. He was in the doghouse. I was like, so he was great here. Then 18 months later, he's no longer great. He's lost his skill set. No, it's just he chose wrong. And that's the thing. To be consistently good, you have to be incredibly aggressive. So the only way for this guy, net of fees, to beat the market consistently is to be incredibly aggressive. I talked about that before. Now, that might be good, but if you're the more aggressive, the more likely you are to be aggressive here. Bill Miller, which is good, and then you get smoked. Aggressive can make you outperform, but you can get smoked as well, too. So if you can't beat them, which you can't, because fees will always put the vast majority of investments on the left-hand side of the average. That's just all there is to it. Too many investors hug the index. Then they have fees that puts them on the left side of the index, the return rate, the return average. So if you want to outperform, you have to be concentrated. You have to take aggressive. You have to take risk, which means that's great when the times are good. It's horrible when the times are bad. Or you could just, instead of you can't beat them, but you can't, you join them and just buy the index. VTI is the index minus whatever the tiny little fee they pay. It's 4 basis points for VTI. As cheap as can be, and so you basically get the broad index with a tiny fee. So you will always underperform the index by those 4 bases, but you're still capturing the index with the same risk as the index. So that's why you can never beat the markets on a whole. The money manager can't because they're fees. Now you could maybe, I doubt it, but you could, as long as you're not paying a huge fees, commissions, and all that. Net of taxes, probably not, but who knows, maybe. But if you're hiring a money manager, the guy will never beat the index as a whole. Now, I don't want to sit there and say no money manager is ever worth their fee. My man Jordan over at Creative Planning, I tell my wife if something happens to me, just hire Jordan. They do money management for a fee. I think it's a little bit. I think it's over 1% of maybe 1.25%. I can't remember. But anyway, but they also do tax planning. They also do your estate documents. You know what I'm saying? They look at your overall financial plan, and that's the way it should be. Now, if your money manager is having quarterly meetings with you just to talk investments, that's just make work. That's busy work. That's not kosher. But if they're actually doing things like your 1040 on a regular basis, plus they're doing overall estate planning, financial planning as a whole, I got no qualm with that. So I don't want to sit there and say all money managers are bad. Money managers got to get paid. If they're doing full service financial planning, it might be worth it. I got no qualm with that. If they're just looking at investments and putting you in ETFs like the guys just talking about, that's not worth 2% fee. Hell no, man, it's not. There's no value there. And again, if they're just talking to you every quarter, like, this is what we did last quarter. Ugh. You don't need that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll see you.